take you for your money whatever else bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the sound holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of the new. Oh, na 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 na. Seems to me that I have lost my old friend. Got the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late.
Oh, there we go. Oh, Tyler
Hey,
is
you
not here.
guys.
That's the script from last week. Yeah, let's try that one.
Good evening, everybody.
What's
All
up,
our Astro
everybody?
guys. What's going on, guys and girls? How's
What's
it
up, my
going?
fellow Astro Imagers?
Another day in
We
Astro
are
Paradise.
back with our weekly 10-minute banter that we get yelled at for having.
Yeah. No, it's all good. But
Let's
no,
see, I'm just
this
trying
is
to
Dan.
get
This is what I was going to tell you. This is the new toy. So for
There you
I'm
go.
waiting. Yeah, the 6D.
Yeah, that's the one you were saying, right? The Mark One.
Yeah. No, this is the Mark One. Yep, this is the Mark One. So I'm looking forward to. I've got a I got a couple new a couple lenses with it. This one is an f2 14 millimeter. It's a Bauer, which is basically the same manufacturer as Broken and Samyang. They make and they have Bauer. They basically are the same. So I've got this guy, and of course the 135. my tried and trusty,
Yep.
135. So now I ordered a Sigma 24 24 millimeter to 75 millimeter standard zoom. So to use as my for portraits and all that stuff. But this is the one I'm really looking forward to, is this Bauer, this 14 millimeter. For the landscape,
some Milky Way.
For Milky Way.
Yep.
But I might even mess around and even set the Sigma 24 at 24, because I believe it's an f2. It's an f2.8.
Nice.
But I probably won't do it at f2.8. It's probably going to be too soft. So I might do it at maybe maybe f4, maybe f3. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. So you got some new toys.
Yeah. So I got some new toys.
I got some new toys too. Let's see if I can grab them. There we go.
So really looking forward to this to the trip, so I can do the landscape photography for the first time in a Bordeaux 2 sky.
We got a box of goodies.
You got a box of goodies there from Prim Maluce.
It's all heavy.
Yeah, I bet it is. The Asado. How much does the Asado weigh?
Because
that's trying to get pretty heavy, isn't it?
It's hefty. I haven't opened the box yet. It's gotta be 6 pounds. It's a big guy.
Yeah.
I could be way. I'm a little bit of a wuss, so it could be a lot less. But if I get it out of here, maybe not. Maybe 5 pounds.
Okay.
Maybe about 5 pounds. But
still,
it's 5 pounds. But it's got the Wi-Fi. It's got everything, and it connects to my Eagle. So, and not that everything doesn't connect to it, but it's I'm turning into, I guess, let's say, for the brand loyalist, I guess you'll call it, I guess. But
sure.
I mean, what the biggest thing about it was that I got really tired of holes not lining up and things not fitting the way they should when I got my mishmash setup going on. And for those of you who have seen my setup, I have ADM saddle plates, I got Stellarview risers, I got a William Optics dovetail, and it took some work to get it all to fit because the holes just don't line up. They don't line up. So I said, you know what? I already got the rings. I got the Eagle. So I said, you know what? And you know what? Prima Luce have lowered their prices on like dovetails like huge. This 4 months ago, this is a 350 millimeter 14-inch dovetail. This was like $159 like 6 months ago. Now it's $89. $89. They low on their dovetails and not so much their rings, but on their dovetails and their clamps, they lowered their prices by like a lot. And just to become competitive, because a lot of the places like Radian and ADM and all that are selling them at 14 inches, under $100. So you got to remain competitive. You can't just sit there and it's literally like it's dovetail, man. Come on, $150. Come on. But so I got that. I got some clamps. I got some more. So I went all Prima Luce just because I just got tired of not having the holes fit. That's really it.
Right.
Got some good news. Today. I was going through the YouTube channel, and AstroWorld has got its 700th subscriber today. So
nice.
That was nice. However, Astro with Eric is creeping up like, man, he hasn't come out with a video in like months. He's like 90 behind.
So
but
those are, you know what? and I'm grateful, but yes, I do need to put up some more content out there, and I will. But I guess the videos that I have put out there, the content has helped out quite a few people.
Yeah.
With Rosas and the ASIR and things like that. So Sharp Cap, you know, so no, I appreciate the support, but definitely I know I need to get off my butt and maybe do some more here. So it's all good.
It's all good.
More will be coming.
Yeah, I haven't come out with a content video in months. It's all been AstroWorld TV once a week. So and that's it. And I am gonna throw myself out there. I think starting the first. Well, let me get a date before I really kind of mess this up.
Okay.
On April 5th, which is the first Monday in April. For all of you newbies out there that maybe perchance are watching and stuff like that, I'm going to be throwing myself out there for 1 hour on Monday evenings from maybe 8 to 9 p.m. just to Q&A. Just Q&A. So if you have questions that are easily solvable or something that may be easily solvable, so we don't take up a lot of time with things that may take hours to figure out, and so that we don't take up time from other people. If you got a quick question or something like that, I'm going to put myself online from 8 to 9 p.m. on Monday nights on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. But so if you got questions, feel free to ask, and if not, I'll just be sitting there playing with my telescope stuff, and you can watch me. That's all. So, so just if anybody's imaging or has a quick question and just needs an area of just somebody to ask a question to, I'll be there from 8 to 9 on Monday nights. So if you guys want to join, you're more than welcome. If not, no big deal. I know we all got lives. I have less lives than others, but so from 8 to 9, I think it'd be a good thing because a lot of people out there that I know need that outlet for a quick answer or a quick question or something like that. So
sure.
So I'm gonna go out there.
I was just laughing. I'm reading through some of the comments, and Tarek's back.
Yeah, I saw that. I said hi.
He says, Jason's the silent person here, watching 90%, talking for like 10. Please involve him more. I produce the show, so I choose when I get to be seen. That's the advantage I have of being the guy that's actually pushing all the buttons.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
He's the man behind the curtain.
And I got a late start because it's early, so I'm still working my way through dinner.
Nice.
So that's why you'll see a lot more of them for the next probably 5-10 minutes.
But
so Mark is asking me if this is a rotator or a focuser. This is unfortunately right now. Hopefully by the summer it will be both. But right now this is the Asato 3. This is only a focuser. This is not both. But it does. It's a 3-inch focuser. It's got Wi-Fi. It connects directly to the Eagle, and we'll see. And it looks like, and for those of you guys that have been listening to me regarding my banter about precise parts and my debacle with the getting an adapter for the 2-inch Asato for the 80 millimeter Esprit. That is come up on complete failure for the most part. I still have not gotten contact. No, nobody's gotten back to me. However, I did speak to Kevin Lagore over at Skywatcher.
Okay.
And and I know him and Tom have been talking because I've been making a lot of noise about this 2-inch Asato and how do you have the 120 and the 100 and not have the 80? And Kevin crunched the numbers a little bit, and the thing is, it looks like the light cone for the 80 Esprit and a 2-inch focuser may create some vignetting that is unwanted.
Oh.
So
okay.
they're still making the part because they want to see if it actually works, and I guess I'm going to be the guinea pig. But Kevin is under the assumption that because of the light cone and squishing it down to a 2-inch, we may be getting some vignetting depending on the size of your chip. Now, I don't have a full frame or 1-inch or bigger chip. I have a 4/3. And so I may be okay with that, but I think you're going to want to kind of, I guess not generalize, but I mean, you're going to want to have it out if you're going to put it out for the masses, you're not going to put it out for a 4/3 chip only. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course not. That wouldn't make any much sense.
If it's not going to work if it's not going to work with the 2600, then why am I coming out with it?
Right.
So we're going to try it. We'll find out. And I will let everybody know when and or how it works out, because I think it's going to be a while. It's going through the prototype now, and we'll see. But we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck, man. Hopefully, it all works out for you. Because I'm sorry that you've had such bad luck with precise parts, man, on this thing. So I have no idea.
But wait, I'm not the only one with problems with precise parts.
Yeah. No, because I actually had a problem too with my adapter, trying to get my using my William Optics reducers and flatteners with the 152, and they ended up sending me they designed it improperly, and I reached out to them, and Ashley reached out to me for me, she reached out to me rather quickly. I shared pictures with her that the adapter should have been an M92 female to I believe it's an M63 female, so it should have been double female.
Yep.
And they looked up, because when you go into Precise Parts, they have those specific devices, those specific parts listed, the rotator and to the 3-inch 152 focuser. So
sure,
they had it there. So it wasn't necessarily any real customization that I had to do. I just chose those two options, and that was it. And it came back, male to male instead of female to female. So they, so I called them, or actually emailed Ashley. She says, yep. She apologized. Yeah, it's totally incorrect, and they're shipping me a replacement. So they shipped me a picture of it. So they shipped it out yesterday, via postal. So hopefully I will have it maybe by, Saturday, or sometime maybe on Monday. Which is fine, because right now we've got, bad weather coming through. So, I'm not going to be able to use it much anyway. So this will be fine.
Yeah.
And hopefully it works out. And hopefully it all works out.
I'm sure it'll work out. At least you got Ashley answering you. I think she blocked me at this point. But I mean, I don't know. But actually, Tarek was asking a question if anybody has the Eagle. And, well.
Yes, he does.
There you go.
That's the man that has the Eagle. We don't. We have ASI Air Pros. He is the one who has the Eagle.
This is actually a customer's. This is a 4S. Why are you pointing?
Well, I was just pointing. He does.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So this is a customer's that I'm working on. I'm loading it up. This is a 4S, the newer one. It's got the GPS module, and it's it's got the Eagle Eye that does the night sky quality meter.
Yeah, sky quality meter.
That's nice. Yeah, so they have that sky quality meter there too, to measure your darkness.
So I got to be honest with you. I know that some people out there has had issues with setup and or other stuff that's been going on with it, and I've been working with this thing for 2 days right now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a problem. Zero. Not one problem. I thought I was having a problem with the GPS for a second because I was inside and there was no satellites being recognized. But then once I kind of opened up the window and put it on the ledge, all of a sudden 12, 13 satellites popped up and it was fine. And then I brought it back inside. It still stayed connected to those satellites. So no problems with the operating system. There are some tweaks in there that kind of could be better, and that I'll kind of talk to Tom about a little bit. Some Windows some Windows features that probably should be on that aren't on there. Like you can't put the little radar for the Wi-Fi on there, so you can't choose the Wi-Fi unless you go into type in Wi-Fi settings. So it's kind of annoying. But other than that, I mean, it's really. I mean, I'm working on benchmarking it now. So I'm going to benchmark it versus my. I have an Eagle 3 Pro that I use, and I want to benchmark that versus the 4S and see how it compares. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. Cool, man. Good deal. So, I know Tyler's not here, but he's been on me about using the 152 or at least getting it started. So,
Yep.
I have actually. So I did get it started. Was able to get things going, and so far it's been I enjoy it. It is nice. So I'll just show it.
That's a monster scope, man.
It is a monster. So here I'll show it to you here. If I bring it up,
there it is.
That is a monster scope, and it's a 1218 millimeter focal length. Although when I ran it, using it with the ASI Air, it actually read it at 1211. And I am using the 533 on it. And if you go through astronomy.tools, it will mark it because my pixel per arc second was at, I believe, 0.69. So it was doing basically imaging. So it's basically it's a little oversampled. So yeah.
How's your guiding going with the ASI Air?
Actually, it's below 0.5. It's been going really, really well. Much better
with the new update.
Yeah, with the new updates and everything, I have not had any problems.
Okay.
Excuse me, myself with it, and I mean it's been killer for me. And
good.
One thing that I have, what I noted is that this monster here, I have to bend. I was mentioning this, talking to Jason about this, is that I'll have to do bending, and so I'm gonna try 2x2 bending and see if that helps out, with my images. But we'll see, because if I use the 294, the pixel size is about 1.25 or something like that. So it's well in range of, being in between that okay sweet spot, for between 2 and 4 for your FM, for your for your full weight half measure.
Yeah.
So it's fine there, but with the 533, they were marking it, saying that it's oversampled. So and I've been hearing that when you're using larger focal length telescopes like this, and with these types of sizes of with these types of sensors, these smaller sensors, they recommend bending. I can't recall where I read that or heard that from. They were recommending bending because if you have these longer focal lengths, it's going to help you out. So
my experience with that, though, has been usually over 1500 millimeter is what they're referring to there. At that 1200, with like the SCA on it, the HOTEC, you shouldn't have to bend. I mean, you might see a slight performance gain, but I did all of my testing at 1:1 with both the 2600 color and the 533 because those are the two cams I have.
Right.
And I did all of my imaging at 1:1.
Yeah, and the first image I got, it's not a bad image. It's just not not something I'm totally happy with.
Right.
And it's okay. And I would like to, but I think I can do a lot better than what I did. So we'll see. Because what I did was, if I can share this with you guys really quick, get you guys' opinion, hop over here, do another screen share, is this one. This is Messier 106. So there's a few things here that are a problem, such as the stars with this haloing and this ringing.
Yep.
I got to figure that piece out and get that all squared away. But overall, but other than that, on those really bright stars, it doesn't look half bad, especially, with the other galaxies out here. But I want to see how it does with, if I use binning and see, it could be a total thing on my end, as far as for post-processing and everything. So who knows? We'll figure it out. We will figure it out.
Well, and I know I sent this to you, and this is not a heavily processed image, but I'll go ahead and bring it up so you guys can see it.
Yeah, sure.
This is my M51 on the 152 using the 533 camera. Now, granted, I've not done background noise. I haven't done any of the noise modeling. I haven't done much color correcting. This is almost straight out of the camera with just minor tweaks. But that's 1:1, and I'm getting a little bit of star bloat, but I do dither.
Yep.
So I dither 2 pixels every 3 frames.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you can see a little bit of the dithering noise off here. You see I didn't quite crop it right.
Yeah.
All that'll get cleaned up. I just didn't crop it right. But this was just a down and dirty to show you. This is a 1:1, or 1:1 with the 533 on the exact same scope.
Yeah. So it's who knows, and I could be doing something totally different, and we all do things totally different on the same equipment and stuff like that. But like the rings and stuff like that, that's definitely something that I may have, I got a learning experience. I've got to figure out what that piece is, as far as it could be, I maybe be oversaturated something or something within noise reduction. Who the heck knows? So I have to just
you definitely might want to take a look at your noise reduction. Or did you deconvolve it all or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so then I would take a look at your noise reduction then and see what the settings are. Because sometimes with that, and even with the background extraction could kind of screw things up a little bit. So if you have that history saved, because me and Jason were talking about what a lot of people, especially newbies, don't do well. And I'm not saying that you're doing this. I'm just throwing this out there to the people that are not very proficient with PixInsight as of yet. Is, let's say you do part of your process dynamic background or automatic background extraction, which is one of the first things you're probably going to do, or dynamic crop even. I mean, that's probably the first thing you're probably going to do is a dynamic crop and get all the garbage out of the way first before you start modeling your background, because you don't want to model a crappy edge. So
exactly.
so that being said, what a lot of people do is when you do a dynamic crop, let's say, and you let it create a new image, what people usually do, if they create new images, continue working on the new image. And when you do that, that starts to erase the history of the image before. Okay? So you lose the integrity of that history by creating a new image. Now, if you were to apply that and not create a new image and replace that image, then you start building the history. You just want to work on one image through a thing. And what a lot of people do is, okay, I'm going to do dynamic crop, boom, create new image. Okay, now I'm going to do DBE, boom, create new image. And now you're losing all these steps.
You're losing all that history.
That you did. And then if you have a situation like, oh my God, what did I do? I don't understand. And now my stars are all purple. Well, now you can't figure that out very well because you just erased all your history. So it's really important to kind of take one image, work on it, use the create new image as a test and say, okay, do I like it or not? And if I don't like it, tweak it. Once you like it, bring that process over to your current image and continue working on the same image. Really important.
Okay. Good call.
Go ahead, Dan.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
So I know, Jason, you and I were talking about, how much is enough. So Jason and I were talking offline and trying to figure out topics for tonight. And we were talking about, well, how do we know how much data is enough data and how much data do I need in each filter? You know, is there a way to kind of figure that out, you know, mathematically or otherwise?
Well, and I
Now,
know a
are
lot
you
of people.
talking? Now, are you talking? You know, the number of the length of the exposures, your exposure time, or the actual number of, you know,
Be
light
any of those
frames?
variables. You know,
Okay.
Either one.
so the example that I was using is, you know, so I've delved down the rabbit hole of playing with mono. Now I haven't processed anything yet. I've just shot a crap load of data. So in doing so, I'm also trying to go through Atom Block's Fast Track to try to get better at understanding my patterning for what I need to do to better process the everything from my one-shot colors into the monos. But one of
Right.
the things that I struggled with, and like Mark has done, I go on AstroBin, I dig through there, I search for the target that I'm going to shoot, and then I search for the camera that that I'm shooting on, and see what, oh, that person's looks good. What is their data set? And
Right. Yeah.
that's how I've picked things in the past. There's no science to it. It's just like, ooh, that's pretty. Okay, do what he did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is some merit to that, but did they do what was right or wrong? And that's where the methodology that Dan was referring to, that we were talking about offline, it's a little more scientific in the way it approaches it. And so I'll let him explain that. But part of what feathered this into our conversation was the fact that I knew into this, having no idea what I'm doing, decided I'm going to shoot the Leo Trio. So I'm shooting it in LRGB and HSO on the 1600 mono ASI
Okay.
that I borrowed from Mark Ellis. Just kind of playing around with things, so I decided completely arbitrarily I'm going to shoot. I have 105 IR cut, so luminance channel. I have 60 each of 5-minute subs of RGB. I have to completely reshoot my greens because I had clouds during the entire thing, so those are all scrap. I got to redo those. But then on the HSOs, I was at 5 minutes on my RGBs. I was at 15 minutes on my HSO. And talking with Dan, yeah, that is par for the course. You know, they're 7 nanometer or 7.5 nanometer filters. It's the ZWO filters. But I didn't know if me getting 30 15-minute images was the right thing to do. And I know that really using HSO on spiral galaxies like that really isn't highly beneficial, but it was more a scientific process for me. So
Sure.
I'll hand it over to Dan to kind of go over what he was referring to and how to better, from a more systematic standpoint, make a decision of what the best option is.
Well, basically, what you know, sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. It depends on if I'm on a new object that I kind of know nothing about. There's a program out there called Sky Tools, or Sky. It's now Sky Tools 4, and they used to be a really, well, it still is a really good observational planning software, which they still have out. But they branched off about 2, maybe 3 years ago into the imaging pool of software that people have come out with. And it's not a very well-known program, but it's well-known to people that have been using it for a long time. It's been around for 20 years. I mean, it's been around for a long time. But there's a way to do, and some people are going to say this is not going to work, and it may not, because Jason and I were actually talking about this before. But if you want to image by SNR, or signal to noise ratio, and the strength of your signal in your images, there's a way to figure out how much exposure time or how much total integration time in that filter you're going to need to hit that SNR. Now, when you plop it all together, you, as the artist, you're going to have to make that decision whether you like the way it looks or not, or whether I need more O3 to add to the blue, or add some more S2 or HA, whatever you want, whatever channel you want to add more or less to. You can do that. So I'm gonna share my screen a little bit here to show you kind of what I'm talking about, and share, and ST4. Okay. All right. So this is Sky Tools 4. and this is Sky Tools for imaging. Now it's got a lot of cool stuff in there. So you're gonna first start. There's a target selection first that you could use, and you can figure out what target you want to do. You could have right now. This is set for Messier catalogs only. You could say there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. What date it's in, where the prime, how many weeks you have to shoot it, what the image size is, where it starts. There's also here somewhere what the duration of where it is before it hits meridian and another subject. But if you go under in here and you go under Project Manager, you can make different projects. And just for example, I have the Heart Nebula here, which is my last project that I was playing with. This is back over a year ago. So I don't use this that often, but if you're really interested in how much time to put into each filter, you could do this. So actually, let me get into this. And we're just going to do a new project, actually. Do Project Manager. And where'd it go? Sorry about this. It's been a while since I've been in here. Project Manager, there it is. No. There we go. So the first thing you want to do is find out what image you want to do. So let's say we want to do M42. Okay, so we're going to go to M42, and we see it, and we're going to create an imaging project. Okay, and then this is where it kind of comes out with all stuff. Now, this has the same type of thing that you have to do. You got to put in your camera, you got to put in your mount, you got to put in your telescope. Your mount part isn't that important if you just want to know how much time to put in each filter. But if you want, this can control your telescope. It's a really powerful program, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to do the Orion Nebula, and I'm going to use my Esprit 80 with my S-Big camera. I'm going to do prime focus, and it wants you to put a purpose, whether it's general. You actually have settings for astrometry and photometry. So it's really, really, really in-depth. Then you're going to go to composition tiles, and it gives you kind of, for those of you that use Sequence Generator Pro, it kind of gives you what's they're equal to the Framing and Mosaic Wizard. You can flip the orientation, you can move the tiles, you can frame it whichever way you want. These squares are suggested guide stars. This is the 8300. This is another camera that I have. There's two different cameras here. And then you go to exposure goals and filters. And this is where you kind of figure everything out. So if you could do it by signal to noise ratio, or if you just want to say, hey, I want 20 hours of time, this is what I want to do. So if you want to do signal to noise ratio, there's a couple of different settings for what signal you want. And it gives a little type of a description. So I usually use 20 to 30, acceptable to higher, usually the 30. Because I like to spend more time on it, probably more time than I really need, but I kind of want to make sure I have enough data if I got to delete some anyway. So we're going to do target object, and we could do main extent, which is the main area of the picture. And then we're going to do, where is it? Oh, I got to put add filters. So I'm going to add my filters that I have. Click OK. And there it goes. So it automatically populates how much I should get to reach this 30 signal to noise in each filter. Okay. So in this situation, we're going to pop this on, and we'll change this to B. Not that that's going to make any difference. And we'll do very high picture quality, make it a little more sense. So very high picture quality in this situation, to get a 60, we'll get 5 minutes in the blue, 25 in the green, 3 in the luminance, and 4 in the red. For H alpha, because it's M42, so you're not going to really need a lot of this. But if I wanted a good signal to noise ratio in sulfur, I would need 20.7 hours in that. So that would not be a good narrowband object. So that's not to say that you only need 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes on those things. So if you want total exposure time, and if I want, I don't know, 2 hours per filter, I could go 2 hours per filter. Right? And then save that. So if I wanted to get that 30 SNR, it wouldn't work out the math doesn't work out very well here. But when you do SNR, then this is where these numbers come in. So it's a little interesting that way. And then let's say if you go into one of my current projects, same thing when you got the tiles up across the top. So this is more of a narrowband project. So in order to get my 30 SNR, I would need 9.8 hours in H alpha, 2.5 in O3, and 12 hours in S2. So that would be a total of 21, 23, like 25 hours, which is pretty much what I have. Now, like I said before, once you put this all together, you may not like it. You may find out you need a little bit more blue, so you're going to have to take more O3, because O3 for the Heart Nebula is very blue in the middle. So you're going to need that blue in there. So you might need to take 6 hours of that. This is just a benchmark. This is not all said and done. And you can also put it based on your sky conditions here. At the end, when you take your pictures, go ahead.
No, keep going. I'll ask my question at the end.
Yeah. At the end, when you take your pictures, you can actually dump them in here, and it'll read the FITS headers of all your pictures, and it'll grab all your FITS headers, and it will tell you your completion rate so far. So right now, according to my project, I'm 54% done in H alpha, 91% in O3, and 46 in S2. And the total time on each filter, that's where I'm at right now. So you could just call it quits at that point if you wanted to. You don't have to go through the whole thing. But go ahead, Eric.
No, I was going to say, so this looks really, really impressive to help, you tabulate, and it gives you information. Okay, this is, you mentioned, this is a benchmark, but this is a really good indicator of, for people to say who don't know or just guessing at it. How much data do I need to accumulate? Now, doing this in your previous projects, have you had a chance to complete a full project using Sky Tools and going off of this method? How successful were you?
Okay, so my Heart Nebula, if you saw the picture that I have, the Heart Nebula, this was done with those. I actually called it quits before I finished it because I thought it was good the way it was. So if I could, let's see if I could show you. Give me a second. I'll get it back up here. AstroWorld. And I'll get the picture up here, and I'll show you the Heart Nebula I took, and you guys know it. You've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
But I'll throw it up to the guys that haven't. What is it? Astrophotography. Damn, you guys still haven't given me pictures for your website.
I need to get through processing my stuff first. I've got
that's right.
12 terabytes.
And that's why Tyler doesn't have a name on it. Tyler doesn't have a name up there yet because. And
I've had some stuff that I think may be good enough. I just got to give it to you, man.
So
Just got to give it to you.
So I'll share this. Screen share. So this was. Okay, so that was 26.2 hours worth of HSO Hubble palette. So I got up to the point of where they wanted me to do a lot more than that, but I thought the signal to noise looked pretty good. So I left it alone and I stopped it there. But I was going on Sky Tools recommendations for this one.
Nice. Okay. That's good to know. And how much is the software? Is it freeware or is it? I'm
No.
sure there's got to be
It,
a
it,
cost to
it,
that.
it is not freeware. I wish it
Yeah.
was. Let me see what they're running at now, but I want to say it's like $250. Sky Tools 4.
$200 for the imaging.
And it
Oh,
is.
wow. So it's not too bad. I mean, especially if you're looking at, how much you spent on Pix Insight. This is relatively about the
Yeah,
same.
it's actually they lowered it. It's $199
Mm-hmm.
for the imaging. If you get the bundle, which includes the visual, it's $249.
Gotcha.
So the visual one is for those of you that are observers out there, observational astronomers out there, as opposed to astrophotographers. This has got a super powerful when you're visualizing, when you're observing visually anything. So it asks you your seeing, your transparency, whatever. Any notes that you want, what telescope you're using, what eyepieces were you using, were you using any reducing images, were you using a Barlow, whatever it is. And then what you do if you're doing, I used to do, I don't do it a lot anymore, but I know that there are a lot of people that still do it, is observational projects or visual projects where you do like the Luna 100 or the Herschel 4 or the Caldwell Club or the Messier Club or whatever. You could download those logs and submit those to your club rep to submit that to the Astronomical League to be accepted for your award. So that's
Nice.
that's something that's pretty cool. So you don't have to sit there and right, once you have it in the log and you back. If you're like me, you started observing before there was computers. So if I was able to put this in there, I would have observations of things 5, 6, 7 times, or more.
Yeah.
But and it would say, but you could. It's interesting because I've been using this program for many, many years, and so I have logs, and it's funny when you look at things, and you see things as you get older, you see things a little differently. And you're like, oh man, I saw 25 stars in M92. I was able to count 25 stars, but now I'm only counting 13 because my eyes are so much out of whack now. but there are different things, and you start to actually kind of describe things as you get more experience observing. You get to learn how to describe things a little bit with a little bit more intricacy that you did when you were 17 as opposed to 50. So
right. No, it's cool.
But it's a great program, so I just wanted to share that with everybody.
No, thank you, and that looks like a really cool program. So,
it's definitely something that if I had the capital right now, I'd be buying just for the reason of it gives you a really good baseline. So, and I was trying to do a quick Google search to see. There's a couple people that have like a Excel spreadsheet, but you have to know a lot of the data about your camera, scope, what your seeing conditions are. So you have to know those variables yourself, which you have to for this as well, but it doesn't take into account your target like this does. So,
yeah, this actually takes into account the surface brightness of the object. So it knows your telescope, it knows your filter, it knows your camera. If you put it in there, it'll know your sky brightness. If you put a sky mag number on there, so it's going to take all that stuff into account. Now I have if you wanted, I could send that to you. A friend of mine, I can't take credit for it, but a friend of mine made a Swamp the Read Noise Excel spreadsheet. That you do have to know some stuff like your read noise, your sensitize, your pixel pitch, all that. But once you put that in there, you'll be able to find out how much for every single filter you want, as long as you have the specs for that filter as well, because you kind of need that as well.
Yeah,
sure, nice. No, but to your point, Jason, it's for the price. That's pretty cool. you know, for what you can get, the possibilities, it's nice. Now, we had also talked a little bit, Jason and I had talked a little bit about, you know, comparing this to even a Sharp Cap Pro, and using their smart, you know, their sensor analysis process and their smart histogram, you know, so because you have to do the sensor analysis first before you can do the smart histogram. And it does also measure your sky brightness and everything. But that one, like, this is another one, it's a guideline and everything like that. And it doesn't, and you have to switch, you know, it doesn't, you can't enter in, okay, I'm using this filter or that filter. You have to actually notate, okay, I'm going to measure the sky brightness, or I'm going to do this with maybe my HA filter or so on, or my, you know, STC Duo or what have you, whatever filter you have. And then you have to make those notes, you know, and jot those notes down. But I found that, you know, it's, you know, for $10, $10, $12, whatever it is right now, it's not bad. But I'd like to see, you know, how this goes too, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Skyhound, who is a company that makes I forgot his name. Actually. Craig. Was it Craig Stark? No, Craig Stark's PhD.
Yes, PhD.
I forgot the gentleman's name that makes it. He's a one-man band, just like Robin is at Sharp Cap. But let me tell you something. I mean, it's Sharp Cap's a little bit more user-friendly than this is. This is made by a programmer, kind of like SGP, where it's not extremely user-friendly. Yeah, you know. Right. You kind of need to understand how things work in a computer a little bit. But the imaging program will control your telescope. It will control everything that SGP does. It won't do observatory. But other than that, it will do mount, it will do focuser, it'll do everything else. And it's a decent program. But I use it really just for tracking my progress of each imaging project, which I haven't done much of lately because I just got my telescope back yesterday. So I just got it back. So I'm hoping to get that back up and running.
Nice.
You know, and then maybe we'll have some decent pictures for everybody finally after 4 months of doing nothing.
Without it. Yeah.
It feels like it's been forever, man. It feels like it's been forever.
I mean, it's gone from, you know, New York to Arkansas, from Arkansas to California
to Arizona,
and Phoenix, you know, and finally back to you. So
finally back. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. It just got here yesterday, so I'm curious to take a picture of it. He did say, Mark over at Skywatcher, he did say that that there were two little less than 1 millimeter specks that he couldn't get out. I was like, dude, let me tell you something. It was like a snowstorm in there. If it's two little 1 millimeter specks, I'm a happy person. You know, because it was bad. I had some bad. Tyler took some really bad pictures of the lens.
Well, they're good pictures of a bad lens.
Yeah, it's good pictures. They were able to see. You were able to see, you know, exactly what's going on.
Yeah. So. All right. So what was our next topic? We were talking about something else. Are we ready to move on, or?
Well, we ran out of time on that. We can always reinstitute more time if people are interested. But
sure.
That was a very good overview, and I think it's a good start into the discussion of how do you go about it. You know, like I said, you know, I started, and like Mark does, we just spend hours surfing AstroBin and say, oh, pretty picture. What did this guy do? Or gal. You know, so there is some merit to that because they've obviously got something you want,
sure,
or that you consider to be desirable, that you want to replicate. But the one thing that doesn't take into account is their skill level within the software they're using, be it PI, APP, Photoshop, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't take that part of the equation into the metric. Where I really feel that this software will probably be a little bit more scientific about it. Still not taking into account, of course, your processing, you know,
Yeah, and your
capacity.
artistic view of it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it really may not look the way you want it to look. You may have that great signal to noise ratio, but if you looked at some of those numbers,
Maybe
2.8
ridiculous.
hours on oxygen on the Heart Nebula may not be enough because, like I said, that middle of that Heart Nebula is a
A lot of
lot of
blue.
blue in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, so you may need, and I'll tell you right now, I did bump up the blue on that because I stopped at a certain point because I just needed more. So I just took another full night of oxygen data, and that was it because I just didn't like the way it happened. It was just like, didn't look like, I didn't like the way it looked.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I may scientifically, I had my 30 signals to noise or whatever I wanted to do. But visually, when you looked at the final project, you're like,
But that may
need a
be a
little bit of this.
good point of contention to look at time invested versus signal to noise ratio and try to
Yeah.
find a happy medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in my next project with ST4 is that I actually did just total time. I didn't do SNR. I did total time. So I said, okay, you know what? I want to do 5 hours per filter or whatever. And I saw how it looked. And I'll be dead honest with you. Now more than ever, I've been taking almost equal in every filter with the exception of HA and luminance. So RGB would be close to the same. S2 and O3 would be close to the same. And HA and luminance would be a little bit higher.
Okay.
I mean, that's my, that's what my process is. But, there's really it's kind of like, well, it's not as bright as I want it to be. All right, get more luminance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not as detailed that I want. Okay, get more HA. So, I mean, there are certain things you can do. But again, like I said, programs like that are just benchmarks. The bottom line is it comes out to the artist's eye and what you want. And that's everybody who's taking the pictures out there. So
Yeah.
you want to, if you're not happy with it, get more.
Well,
That's
and that's
what it
one of the
is.
things that was kind of an eye opener for me as I was invited. I won't say what or for whom, but I was invited to be a silent judge on a competition that was taking place, and looking at the photos that were submitted for the top three seats. There's like 60 or 40 or 50 images that were submitted, and whew, there are some people that are really proud of their work, and some people that probably need to spend more time looking at other people's work. But again, it's all artistic.
It
Some of
is.
the stuff was
Yep.
way overcranked, horribly oversaturated. Some of the stuff was nowhere near enough exposure time. Some of the stuff you could tell was very heavily photoshopped in that they had pulled out certain parts of it, but they still had an unbelievable amount of noise and flaws in the stars. And then there was one that you could probably venture to guess that they had done compositing, which is perfectly fine because that was not one of the rules of the engagement. But you can tell it was fairly heavy composited just by the way
Gotcha.
things kind of layered and framed out. That probably wouldn't have naturally existed had it been a single exposure or stacked of that similar field. So it was kind of enlightening. Makes you think, well, maybe I'm not doing so bad.
Yeah. Hey, and that's the thing though. And I don't want to say that, if you're new at this kind of stuff, keep on trying, keep on trucking, keep on doing and improving and learning from people that know more than us and know more than everybody and know more than yourself. It's super
Yeah.
important to kind of sit there and keep on trying. And I hate to use the age-old axiom, if you, at first you don't succeed, try and try again. This is a tough learning curve for a lot of people, especially with the amount of software and stuff out there. So get the resources, get the books, get the Mastering Pix Insight from Virgilio, and go grab Warren Kellner's book Inside Pix Insight, and go grab those things
Yeah.
and use them as you go along. And when you come up against something and you hit a wall, use your resources. Don't try and do it yourself. You're going to get super frustrated. Throw some questions. Join a user group on Facebook. Do something to get the answers that you need in a relatively good time frame. because
Yeah.
that's the worst thing you could do is just slam your head against the wall for 3 months trying to figure out why your stars are purple.
And I mean,
You know?
I'm one of those, I've been a summa cum laude graduate of the University of YouTube numerous times. You go out there, but there are some people you really have to take what they're saying or what they're doing with a grain of salt. Because when you sit there and look at their product when it's done, and you go, ugh, that's not what I was hoping it would turn out to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really have to kind of weed through a fair amount of that type of data to unequivocally say, yeah, this guy or this gal has a really great way of doing something.
Yeah.
And, I've found a few that do a really good job. A couple people we've had on the show.
Sure.
But there are certain people that reach a point in their education that there's the free stuff they'll show you to get your appetite whet, and then there's the paywall to get to the things you really need. And that's not a bad thing. And I don't want to knock those people because they've done a really good job when they've provided that service. And it is a very valid objective to achieve. I'm a cheapskate. I'm the lazy astronomer, so I do want to do things cheap, fast, and efficient. And cheap and fast are not in the astronomical wheelhouse.
No. No.
So,
cheap and fast should not be in your vocabulary.
No, not in this hobby.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. One thing that has gotten me curious, and you and I, Jason, we are ASI Air owners. No, I'm an ASI owner. We're both ASI Air, but I'm also a RASA owner.
Yeah, I'm the odd man out now.
You're the odd man out.
We'll get you there.
But speaking of the ASI Air, and if anybody chimes in, have you had an opportunity yourself to do any type of the live stacking or anything like that, or experiment with it?
I kind of played with it for a little bit, but the live stacking for me, in my experience with it, is really for outreach. I know it's fully capable of doing things.
And that's what I'm getting at, because I'm interested, because I don't know, we may have talked about this last week. I was looking at, maybe looking at getting a different telescope, something for my kids and I to do a few things, and we talked about maybe a Dob or something like that. But then I decided to hold off on that and utilize what I currently have. And I have a great visual telescope. I mean, it's a very popular telescope for visual. I mean, it's the Celestron XR8 SE. It's really good for what it does. And I was actually on the fence to purchase a product called the Revolution Imager. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Yes.
It's basically, yeah, okay. And you can tell me what your opinion is on this. And it looks, like back in the day, it probably had its place, especially for EAA or electronic assisted astronomy and everything. And it looks like it's really good for outreach, and for showing kids and stuff like that to help them get them interested in astronomy. But for me, I was like, maybe I've already got the tools here, so I don't have to make additional investment. So, for example, I've got a RASA. Okay, so I can use a RASA with an F2, and I can use that for EAA, and I can use either SharpCap, okay, or I can use the ASI Air Pro. And so I decided, okay, I can go either way. But what has been your experience? If you say you have the Revolution, what's been your experience with it? Or doing something like this?
As soon as I got SharpCap, it went in that closet over here on my left. Collected.
I never saw it.
And then what happened with it is I sold it on Cloudy Nights for $175 about 6 months ago. So
there you go.
Now that's not to say that I know Mike that made the Revolution Imager, and he's a really good guy, and the product is very, very good. But it is for
really,
entry level outreach. It is for entry. You're going to get better resolution if you grab your 290 or whatever you got going on, you know, some sort of ZWO camera, slap it in the back of a Schmidt, or even a refractor, because I've done some really, really cool EAA with an 80 millimeter refractor in an observatory with sharp cap in 40 minutes. I mean, I put M42 on there, and it was beautiful. It was great. I had it downstairs on a TV in Southold, and around the eastern end of Long Island. This guy has an observatory that we set up. Remember the observatory that we were setting up last year? That I was setting up for that guy out east?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm.
It's that observatory. We set it up. It's all done. It's finished. And let me tell you, the stacking, once you did, you know, you got to remember also with sharp cap, if you want really good live stacking and on the fly live viewing, you really need to take your darks, you really need to take your flats, you really need to have those subtractions going on.
You have to do that with the ASIR Pro as well. You've got to take all of your you have to do things backwards, in reverse from what you would normally do. You have to get your calibration frames done first before you do your lights. Yes.
Same with sharp cap.
Yeah, so I get that.
But once you got all that and you're able to point that to your flat and dark files, and if you make a master even better, then you're going to get awesome results in a relatively quick amount of time, no matter what you do.
No, and that's one of the nice things, and that's kind of the complaint most people have with the live stacking feature is you do all that front-loaded stuff, but you have to do it all within ASIR.
Yes.
You can't take a library you shot, pull it off, process it, and bring it back. It goes,
oh, you can't.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it all has to be done within the ASIR. So it doesn't have to be that particular session, but you have to have done it before, and you tell it, here's the directory to go look for it. Here's the directory to go look for this. But it can't be processed. It can't have left the drive, per se.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can take it off as long as you put it back on, unaltered. But it's only going to look at that data to do that processing, because it's going to take and basically calculate a master. It's not going to make a master. But when you're doing that live stack, it doesn't save every sequential. It just keeps stacking it and applying those calibration frames. And then that's one of the things that save the final image before you close it. But you don't get all of those to go back and redo it later, which is why a lot of people went, it was cute, and moved on.
Yeah, well, that's why when you use sharp cap for live stacking, there is a checkbox there that you can save the individual frames unprocessed. So, you know, so even if you have the dark and flat subtracted in your image stacking, it will save the raw file. And I'm going to use this in the wrong terminology. They're not raw files, but the raw files.
The FITS files.
The FITS files. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the
there was a way to hold on to it as well. I did read that there was a way to hold on to the data in the ASIR Pro. You have to there's a checkbox down at the bottom near the live.
I don't think there was a checkbox, but I think they may have fixed it. I haven't played with it since it came out like 4 releases ago. Before the autofocus feature came in. And one of the things that they're supposedly going to be rolling out in this next beta that we should hopefully be testing here soon is going to be autofocus and live stacking, because right now it's not currently there.
Okay.
So
that's one thing I'm sure they'll. One thing I did, I post this in the ASIR group, it was just me, and you know, it was a little frustrating. Is when you're out in the backyard, you're imaging, and for me, I was also doing visual, and to check, and I had to, and every once in a while, I would check on the progress of the ASIR, see how it's guiding and things like that, see where it's at the time, on my phone, and I have an iPhone. But one of the things that's a little frustrating, and I don't know if this was, would be something that ZWO would need to think about, is to develop a night mode for the ASIR, for the application.
They're actually talking about that. It was just on our admin chat.
Yeah, because I brought that up maybe a few days ago, that it can, because when you're just using your iPad or your phone here, and you're not doing, if you're at a star party, or if you're doing visual or anything like that, along with, because me, I've got my 8SE, and then I've got my, the 152 doing all the imaging and stuff like that. It gets it's pretty maddening, that you get blinded. You have to break that out, and you get blinded, and then you got to readjust, and you say, great, now I've got to readjust my eyes and this, or whatever. So something, I thought I posted they may want to consider.
A lot of people have been saying the same thing. It's been actually kind of a repeat thing. About every 3 months it comes back through its cycle. They're looking into it. They haven't fixed it yet. There is a small workaround for the iPhone users. On the iPhone 9 and newer, there's the adapt. It's the
I can go in, and it's under accessibility.
Yeah,
for
the accessibility feature. Thank you.
Yeah,
where you can turn on red with a double click or triple click.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing.
That's the temporary workaround.
I discovered that. That's what I've been doing. But the bummer of it is, and this is, and I don't know how you would do this. It's especially if you're looking at your guiding. How are you gonna see your graph?
Yeah.
No, that would be to see your graph or anything like that.
And part of that, like the splash screen, I think they're going to change out. The rest of this stuff, they're at a really hard conundrum, because when you're dealing with let's say an 18-year-old versus a 60-year-old, of course the eyesight's different. And like my business partner, he's 68. He can't see the difference in dark mode. He can't use it. The differentiation between the font and the background is too close. He can't read any of the text. And there's no easy way in the code to alter that to give you the ability to fix for that, which is a personal thing. You can't make 5 settings and it's going to work for everybody, because everybody needs to personalize it differently depending on the state of their eyes, the environmental conditions, so on and so forth. So they haven't instituted it because it's a rabbit hole. Give them an inch, they want a mile, which is part of why they haven't instituted it. The splash screen itself, that big white screen that pops up, is probably going to be replaced in the next 1 or 2 releases. They're addressing it because it is a big issue. Not so much for me, because I'm in and out of the back door of the house anyway, so my eyes don't really adjust. But when you are out doing a star party, or you're out with friends and you boot up a new instance, or even once I go to bed, my iPad is doing the bulk of the looking at what the ASAR is doing. But in the betas, I only get one connection. So if I go to click my phone over, it says the connections have been limited out. You cannot use this device. Go disconnect your other connections. So I have to go downstairs, stop and shut down the app. Then I can log in on my phone and set it on the charger, so that in the middle of the night I can wake up and see if it's still behaving. So, but with the release versions, I've been able to connect 2 devices with no issues. But the beta versions, for some reason, only let me do 1.
Yeah, I can switch devices, to 2 devices, because I have the version 1 as well as, and the 2. And as a matter of fact, I just ordered another version 2.
Another Pro?
For the specific reason, another Pro. For the specific reason, I want to try to do live stacking EAA, because it's only in the version 2 that you can do that. While I can use my my other my original version 2 for imaging. And stuff like that. But it was just one of those things that I'm glad that it's been discussed and been brought up. But it's something where I think, and I don't know, but you look at a lot of other applications, and I'll give you a perfect example. Remember Backyard EOS or Backyard Nikon?
Sure.
They've got a great, in my opinion, it's a great, night
software.
mode. It's a great piece of
Yeah,
software, and they have a
right.
great night mode, and they got a great night mode set up. So maybe they could, take a look at, that, and take, and get some ideas of how they can set things up properly.
And I
For
think
that.
that's part of what they're working through is how they want to implement it. Right now, the thing they're fighting with is they're on Android and iOS, and the feature capabilities need to be very similar. And both operating systems have very limiting ways in the way that they allow you access to those certain root level functions that a computer
Gotcha.
does not have those limitations. So that's
Gotcha.
part of that, why that probably hasn't been implemented, is because of the root level permissions that the device gives.
Yeah.
So it has to create its own layering that it would then affect only itself and not the root level, and how it goes about implementing that. So
Right. Okay.
there's a lot of layers to that onion.
Okay. Well, no, and that you make a very valid point, because Backyard EOS and Backyard Nikon, they're for PC.
PC.
So it makes it very simple. You only have to write out one, set of code.
One or two lines of code, and you're
One
done.
or two lines of code, and you're done. So yeah, I can see where they'll have a better, more of a struggle, trying to, get this going for not just one, phone type, but now for two, for an Android and an iOS. Yeah,
and that's the thing that I know ASI Air's been fighting is everybody's like, well, how come this won't work on my PC? Why won't it work on my Mac? Guys, this is a mobile solution. Your laptop is a semi-mobile solution. It is not a mobile solution. Mobile solutions are phones and tablets, which is why they're on those devices exclusively. It's an extra $200 to $1,200 to have that if you don't already have it. But the limiting features of those are also its biggest benefits, because it negates a lot of the things that we deal with in the operating system platform from a computer level, whether it be Mac, Linux, or Windows, because they come with their own set of issues with how much that they've opened up or not opened up.
Sure.
Whereas the limiting of a tablet or phone drastically changed that, and that's why they've stuck to that channel.
Well, that's a good point, especially when, like I said, when you're dealing with two different,
Well, and the one thing that they want to get away from, and most software developers that are doing things for mobile are doing the same thing. They don't want to create a feature set that's really good on Android and only give a third of that feature set to the iOS.
Yeah.
iOS.
Because then you completely isolate your base. And they get pissed. So then you take and you overdevelop what iOS can do, and then the Android guys get pissed.
Yeah.
It's this constant dichotomy. So you keep the playing field level. If I build it for this, I have to build it for this. If I can't build it for here, they don't get it.
Yeah. Because then
that's the way to keep everybody happy. So I mean, you can't be alienating half your your base.
And if you look at any of the forums, you see no matter how much you do for them, they're never going to be happy, because there's always, you gave us this, now let's go here.
They're always going to be wanting. They're always going to want more. Everybody's always going to want more. So it is what it is.
And that's what it is. And the companies that can adapt to the the next platform that comes out, whether that be something else, either God forbid another Windows phone comes out. But
I think they're pretty well done with that mistake. I mean,
I think so. But but you never know what the next. Maybe there's going to be a Raspberry Pi telephone. You never know.
It's actually already under development. So
there you go. So next thing you know, you can have ASI Air on your smartphone, which
we already
have
do.
already anyway.
Yeah. But no, I get your point. So what are you guys? Do you guys have plans or planned projects coming up? We're in Galaxy season now. We're in full throes of Galaxy season. So
I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
I'm excited.
This is going on. It's going. You know what? I was gonna save this for the 120, but there's not knowing when the 120 is coming in, so this is gonna go on the 80, right? Like tomorrow. So actually, no, it's not because I still need the adapter anyway. But it's going on. So I have my 2-inch that's sitting in the hallway right now because I'm going to work tomorrow. It's going back to the store. I'm gonna say to hell with it. I'm gonna get the 3-inch. I'm gonna get the 3-inch for the 80 Esprit, and that's it. When the adapter comes in for the 80, I'll grab the 2-inch back and I'll test it, and I'll still put it back, and I'll still keep another 3-inch on there because I'm not gonna bother with any of that, But yeah, so I definitely want to get more of 101. I want to do a lot with that. I want to do a really good 51 and 81 and 82. So okay. I want to get those 3 down, and I know those are the 3 staples as per galaxies for ones that are. But I really don't have a really good. Out of all the times I'm imaged it, I really don't have an awesome M51 shot that I'm happy with. So I'm going to start all over again. So it's probably going to be a better one for the 120.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I want to play with, because I did the M51 with the 152. Haven't processed the data other than I, went through and got everything together, but I haven't done any of the post work on it yet. I've got 20 projects like that I've got all the data. I've ran it through APP, spit out a FITS file of it all, pulled together, calibration frames on it. I've got probably closer to 30 projects all sitting there between different imaging nights and different scopes and focal distances and things like that I still got to get through.
Yeah, I still have the Wizard. I still have the California. I still have the Monkey's Head. I still have the Rosette. I still have.
Well, you can do all those during fall and winter. You can do those during fall.
No. I have the data done.
Oh, it's the data you've got. Oh, okay. So my bad.
Remember that 2 weeks of weather that we had that was beautiful, that I was imaging all night? I still have all that data that I just haven't done anything with. I guess I've just been so depressed of not having a telescope. I didn't do anything.
So much data, so little time. But no. So you saw me. So you saw my 106. I'm actually gonna go after it again and see if I can do better once I get my part in from Precision Parts and get the flattener on and see how that goes. But there's other I have on my AstroBin site. I've got using the 127 doublet. I've got a decent 150. I've got a decent 51. So I'm kind of satisfied with it for right now. But another one, eventually, I am going to get the Rasa up, and I'm going to go after Markarian's chain again.
Okay.
Because it's a fun one to, because you're just looking at these hundreds of galaxies, man, and it just wigs me out that there are all these galaxies that are all relatively that close, that they're a true cluster, galaxy cluster, and it's crazy. And of course, there's a triplet that we do and stuff like that. So there's a few of them out there, and but now's the time to do it, guys. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I'm enjoying right now. I'm enjoying this 152 because I've got the length, I've got the magnification.
You got the reach, man. So
I've got the reach to do this stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
This is just all data that I've taken with the 152. None of it's been processed.
Wow.
That's all data that's just sitting there. And so I'll go over here.
So you got 14 things there.
Well, and I mean, so this is a night of imaging. So if I open it up and go into my lights, this one's only 25 items in it. So that was a short night. Then this is L Pro. So I mean, each of these don't have a metric ton of data in it, but they all have data that's completely unprocessed. So this is 100 lights.
Yep.
Now, because I'm looking here, so do you normally when you use the 152, did you set to a pretty almost a pretty standard exposure time frame? Because of the long focal length, it's a slower scope. Did you try to stay around maybe? Because I noticed you did a few 5 minute. You had 5 minutes there.
Most
Stuff
all
like
my stuff
that.
is 5 minute.
Right.
Just because I'm lazy, and the fact that my particular mount does really well at 5 minutes or longer. Why not shoot and get more data?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
most of my stuff is usually at that 5 minute, unless it's a really bright object like Andromeda. That's too bright to be doing a 5 minute exposure.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Orion's too bright, Horsehead's too bright. Those have to be sub 2 minute exposures to not blow out. But Orion, like I could get just Orion with the 533 and the 152. I could get the flame pretty good with just a little bit of Orion in there, or Horsehead. So it would get you and punch in there really good. And if I was just doing flame with the 152 and the 533, absolutely. I would definitely be pushing to try getting it to 5 minute exposures, because you're going to get all that detail in that lovely orange-red range. But again, where is that in relation to the moon? What filter do I have to put on there? What gain structure am I shooting at? But with my cameras, I've pretty much found the sweet spot. With the 533, I almost always shoot at 0 gain to get the dynamic range. With my the 2600 color, I only shoot at gain 100. Because at gain 0, there is so much noise in the image for some reason. It's a lot more work to try to process it out. I get plenty of detail, so I just shoot at the gain 100.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I pretty much stick with, no matter what it is, if it's narrowband or broadband, I'm sticking to unity gain. It's either 100 for the 533, or if it's 120 on the 294s I've got. So I'm sticking to it. It works for me, and I don't really see. And I know I've seen a lot of other images that look really good where they boost up their gain. I'll just image a little bit longer. I mean, because I've got a good mount where I can guide long enough where I don't need to boost the gain up. I can guide and just take that extra, couple minutes, and still get the same result, I would think, versus just simply boosting up the gain. So, but getting back to what I was saying with the galaxies, there's so many of them out there. Andromeda's not really around right now. I think Andromeda's too low.
Yeah.
But but there's so many others that are out there right now. And again, another reason, now this is springtime and summer. That's another reason why I got this guy, so I can go out and do Milky Way, because now we can see the Milky Way, versus it being blocked, So, no, it's going to be, this is a fun time of year, to do. Don't
forget, you got Ursa Major coming up really high, even though, Andromeda's going low. You got Ursa Major, where you got a crap ton of galaxies just in that entire area. And sooner or later, coming towards, a little bit later in the season, you're going to have the Virgo clusters popping up. So, exactly. You're going to have all that popping up. That Virgo chain is a lovely thing as well. So,
Yep. There'll be a lot of fun stuff coming up. So.
Hopefully I'll have a telescope with some reach that I can do some stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. So I've been playing with the 140 because I've decided that that's my new scope. So I got rid of my 102. Sold it to a really nice gentleman. He is over the moon happy with it, which is great. Sold it with the Moonlight. Got the 140 from Tyler, and have outfitted it decently. And now I'm just playing with that 1600 mono, and trying to pick a target that's going to be easy to stay with for 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm on Leo
there she
Trio.
is.
Yep, I texted her to bring her on.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Tyler he's making a really convincing push for the 152 for me. And I've got the 126 and I've got some other scopes, so it may be that if I'm really nice to Robin, my wife, maybe maybe I can look to probably sell the 126 to some deserving astronomer, and maybe go for the 152 because I've got reducers, so it's not like
you let me know. I have somebody, and it's not me, so I have somebody that's in the market for a 120s telescope. So if you're looking to sell it, I could probably
I'll definitely let you know. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up my reducer.
Yeah. No, but if you decide to pull the trigger on it
itself, I can, and I'll even throw in, the guide scope and everything, the 50 millimeter Robot guide scope in it and all that stuff. So, because it didn't come with one, but I've got one, so I had to buy it separately. But I can add that to it, so it's not a big deal. And then Mark was asking me, and I answered him earlier, was that on the 152, am I using an off-axis guider? And to answer the question, yes. For me, it just seems to work better for my guiding to use an off-axis guider when I'm getting close to 1,000 millimeter focal length and beyond. It just works for me. So yeah. Good. And I don't have that. So it's just nice. I don't have that fluxer because now I actually turn the focuser around.
It makes a world of difference.
I don't have the differential fluxer.
You have the sag. You're not sagging no more.
Yeah. No, so that was helpful too. So good call out on that one, guys.
All right, cool.
I think we had a good show, guys.
I mean, we got 2 minutes left. I just got to say that I am on book 4 of the lit RPG saga, The Land.
Nice.
And I'm loving
glad
it.
You're enjoying it.
I thank you so much for turning me on to that, because that's all you, Eric. And it's really, if you like D&D, you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this.
It's a fun series. It's a fun series.
It is.
Yeah.
I hope the other series are as good.
Yeah. The other books that you're gonna enjoy, a lot of these other books that he's done. So Aileron Kong, so it's been a lot of fun. And once you get through that one, he's got another series that he's already coming out with. He's already done the first book, and then there's another series of lit RPG called the 10 Realms.
Yeah,
it's the 10 Realms saga. So that one's a fun one too. So it's kind of a mix of D&D / military. So
I'll take it.
It's kind of cool.
Nothing wrong with some magic and some M1A1s. It's okay.
Absolutely not. So those are fun. So yeah, but I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. That's a good deal.
Well, and in the last 52 seconds, I'm just going to say I actually found probably the worst TV show on any streaming channel ever that I'm currently watching, and I'm almost done with the first season, and I'm like tearing blood over this show because it's so
why
bad.
Are you watching it?
Because I just got to see how it ends now. I'm invested, so I got to see how it's just so bad. It's so bad. The acting is horrible. It's like the story makes no sense. It's like it's called Salvation.
Oh,
and basically it's really quick. Basically, it's about an asteroid's coming to destroy the Earth, and they're launching an electromagnetic drive up to kind of catch up to it and kind of veer it off target. Now, the backdrop to all this is that remember that asteroid that hit Russia about 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, I remember.
So apparently that was planned by the United States, and we put some tech in the asteroid to land on Moscow, and we missed. So wow. And they recovered part of the asteroid, and there's like a microchip in it.
Wow.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting the way they did that. But other than that, I mean, this is just it's pretty horrible. It's pretty horrible. But
yeah. Enough of that, though.
That's what I was gonna say. That's all they
Take
say
us
about
home.
that.
Yeah, let's take us home.
All right.
You ready?
Where is
Okay.
she? Oh, there she is.
Keep imaging, keep educating in clear skies. We'll see you next time on AstroWorld TV.
See you guys.
Bye bye.